Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday to you on this October 30th, 2025. I got all of your stories for your rush hour ride to work on this Cabbage Night Day. That's right, Cabbage Night, the day before Halloween. Growing up in New England, it was the night where you didn't want anyone to mess with your car. A lot of shaving cream and toilet paper thrown around, although I'm sure ring cam footage has put an end to that festivity. Give it up for New Englanders just looking for a reason to commit crimes. Well, on today's episode, speaking of crimes, we got Bachelorette might spend time in jail after her DUI. And speaking of crimes, we also have Luigi. I guess through fan mail, we're finding out that he's listening to Taylor Swift behind bars on his government-issued, or should say, prison-issued tablet. Sounds kind of nice. Do you get Hulu on that? Wonder if Luigi gets podcasts. Do you subscribe to the Rush Hour? Let us know. And then we're going to also talk about food stamps. But the first story today will be the Colleen Hoover. She's got a new movie out. She, of course, wrote the book, It Ends With Us. Have you heard of it? The movie with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. While I don't have an update on the Baldoni-Blake Lively lawsuit, as the sides have been squeaky quiet, I am going to share this new movie. Is it a flop? And does it mean Hollywood is a little bit done with Colleen Hoover? And at the very end of this episode, we'll talk Miss Rachel, as she, the content creator and children lover, right, of course, and she follows our channel. She, God bless that. Come on the show, Miss Rach. Miss Rachel featured in Glamour magazine as one of their Women of the Year. Wild stuff. So all these stories and more starts right now on The Rush. And sad update coming out of Jamaica. They were hit hard by Hurricane Melissa. No timeline in sight for the reopening of the international airport in Montego Bay. Look at this. The walls were ripped off the departure lounge due to Hurricane Melissa. And we're just starting to learn of the devastation that happened to the island. We've actually have audience that listen from Jamaica. Our thoughts and prayers are out with you. I have been sent some websites that people can use to donate. I'm not going to share them just yet. I'm just going to wait until we know what's legitimate, what's the main way that we can help people out as the storm, cleanup will only begin. Well, here it is, Regretting You, the new movie by Colleen Hoover. After day 5, they're finding out the early patterns. Is the movie building an audience or burning out? It's so important for a bad movie to have a great opening weekend, because word of mouth will lead it so that no one wants to come back. But if there's a movie that people don't know much about, but it's got a great story, everyone's going to talk about it. Oh, you got to go watch this. It's amazing. Word of mouth is huge. So the question is it petering out, or is it going to pick up steam? The box office performance of Regretting You tells an interesting story about movie fans. So the movie, based on Colleen Hoover's book, Regretting You, has completed its first full weekend in theaters. And what have we learned about it? Well, the first 3 days, it made $23 million, and the movie cost $30 million to make. But in today's world, box office it's not just about how much you make in the theaters. Then there's streaming and licensing, and does the movie have legs longevity-wise? So lots of questions to be asked. The movie cost a reported $30 million to make. I'll tell you this. It's not as successful as It Ends With Us. It Ends With Us had a $30 million budget or whatever, roughly, and made $80 to $120 million. It was, in today's world of cinema, not many people go to the movies. It's very hard to get people to go to the movies when it's not an action film or a horror movie or, one of those movies that involves cultural reactions. Like, you want to go to the film to see Top Gun in the IMAX or whatever. Do you really want to go to the movie theater and get sneezed on and get COVID and get scabies? Do you really want scabies because, some rom-com led you there? Now, I know whenever I joke around about this, I have people come, messaging me, I run a movie theater, we don't have scabies here. Good. If your movie theater doesn't have scabies, let me know. I'm happy to promote it. But I've been to 1 or 2 places that have been shut down for bed bugs in Times Square, and I'm here to say, if you don't have to, you don't go. Now, I'd love movie theaters where there's a no texting policy, but let me tell you something. If there's 100 people in a movie theater and one person opens their phone and it takes me out of the scene, I get so mad. I want to throw popcorn at them, but I don't, because that popcorn's expensive. All right, let's move it on. So is it a flop or not? We're about to find out. We'll let you guys know if this movie's worth seeing. Now, as far as Rotten Tomatoes goes, I don't even trust Rotten Tomatoes anymore. I trust audience score and audience score only. I don't care what the reviews are. Did audiences like it? All right, well, let's move to Luigi. Let's just go to this. Luigi Mangione, Jailhouse rocking to Taylor Swift and Charlie XCX. That's right. A new letter has come in that was just verified. I guess he's busy writing letters, and it looks like he's able to print the letter. Maybe it's through email, but he says, I downloaded a bunch of Taylor Swift and Charlie XCX. I've never really listened to either of them, but some phony list of my favorite music circulated on social media. So he says basically like, I want to let you know what I'm actually listening to. Rather than be a buzzkill and set the record straight, I figured I'd see what all the hype was about. So I'm walking laps on the top tier of my Unity, listening to Cardigan by Taylor Swift. Look at that. You mean to tell me you can be in prison getting your steps in and getting a prison-issued tablet? I mean, and again, I don't know if you come to tell me that the beds are actually comfortable. This is, I mean, you get health care. You get, you can go to the dentist, right? They got, I mean, you might get shanked. I'm not saying this is a good thing, but again, he is fighting the allegations that he committed murder of a healthcare CEO, innocent until proven guilty. Updates on that as it comes. So anyway, coming up next, look at this. We've got Bachelorette's Melissa Rycroft facing jail time after prosecutors file charge over alleged drunk driving. Is everyone getting arrested for drunk driving right now? Paul Pierce. I mean, there's always a Bravo story. If a Real Housewife is not getting arrested for a drunk driving incident, then I'm getting worried. Now, I'm not saying you should drive drunk. I'm just saying statistically, there's enough Bravo TV shows of alcoholics throwing wine at each other, that if I'm a cop, I'm just going to follow wherever they're recording a show and just arrest people as they drive back to their hotel. Either way, and I'm not making light of it either. You should not be drunk driving out there. As you guys know, former Bachelor Clayton Echard's accuser, scam artist Laura Owens, accused him of being the father of her unborn twins. She's charged with 7 felonies. Her attorney, David Gingras, is facing his second DUI charge. Well, yesterday he was supposed to be in court. He asked for a continuance. Nobody knows why, but I'm sure he's trying to find a way to get out of it, as you do. Well, here's the story. Actually, let's do this. Let's pause and reset for a quick break. When we come back, I've got your Bachelorette Melissa Rycroft story coming next. Today's episode is sponsored by Brickhouse Nutrition. We've all tried the fad diets over the years. Juice cleanses, cabbage soup diet, raw food diet. Doctors call it weight cycling. Half of Americans do it, and if you do it enough, you're at risk of diabetes, liver damage, heart attacks, and stroke. Weight cycling is when you lose 10 or so pounds, but then you put the pounds back, plus a couple more. Most people need help to stop weight cycling, and here's a great way. Non-prescription Lean was created by doctors. Lean is simply an oral supplement. Its studied ingredients also target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar. It helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting it to energy. And burning fat helps keep the weight off. If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace and keep it off, add Lean to your diet and exercise lifestyle. Get 20% off when you enter Rush Hour at TakeLean.com. That's code Rush Hour at TakeLean.com. Well, there she is. Bachelorette alumni Melissa Rycroft officially charged with a misdemeanor over her arrest for alleged drunk driving. On Friday, October 24th, prosecutors filed a criminal complaint against the former reality star, 42, for operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated and for having an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more at the time. Okay, that's pretty drunk. Paul Pierce was just arrested for having a 0.08. And while that is illegal, I wanted to know the third decibel. Is it 0.080 or is it 0.089? Because if it's 0.080, you're literally a fillet of fish away from being at 0.079, which would be legal. So they're right on but 0.15, that's pretty much not even close to being okay to drive. Per Texas law, an individual faces a mandatory 3 days in jail and up to 100 days in jail for a first incident of driving under the influence. Prosecutors' criminal charge come weeks after she was arrested on September 23rd. A hearing was scheduled for next month. As Us Weekly previously reported, Rycroft spent 8 hours behind bars after being taken into custody for this DWI. Yeah, as far as, and by the way, innocent until proven guilty. But you know what doesn't look innocent? This face. I mean, I'm not here to body shame anybody, but if you're going to drive drunk and look like that, and have a 0.15 alleged blood alcohol content, you're putting other people's lives at risk. And I mean, sometimes you go to jail and you have a good looking headshot and you're like, hey, they got a good photo of me. I can't say the same for this. All right. Very, very bloated in her headshot. In her, what's it called? You got mugshot. There it is. Anyway, so we'll have to see. She was involved in a hit and run before her arrest. Former Melissa and Ty star reportedly told police that a driver had hit her car and fled the scene. An eyewitness told police a different story, claiming there was no other car involved and Rycroft had been swerving before the incident. Who do you believe? That there was another driver or that she got in a fight with a mailbox, as it tends to happen? You don't want to do that, folks. The comment Rycroft responded to a fan on Instagram writing, "Life really sucks right now and I'm struggling, but I'm trying to march forward." The comment Rycroft responded to read, "Some people would have the world believe that they have never made a mistake. I made the same mistake over 2 years ago because of a perfect storm of bad life events. There's no excuse, but it happened. Don't ever forget that you are beautiful, loved, and blessed, but most of all, you are human. Things happen, life happens. Be grateful that it wasn't worse." Be grateful you didn't kill somebody. Because if you did, you'd be spending a lot of time behind bars, and I don't know if you're going to get the Luigi Mangione treatment. I don't know. Maybe you will. Maybe you get a tablet, you can listen to Taylor Swift and whatnot. But either way, it's a tough scenario when you're dealing with an addiction that can put other lives at risk. Absolutely. Speaking of putting other lives at risk, SNAP benefits are being used as a leverage, political leverage, for the government to be reopened. Trump says, "I am not going to release there's like a $5 billion safety purse to release to cover the SNAP benefits, which are food stamps for 1 in 8 Americans." He's saying, "I'm not going to release that." And everyone's like, "You mean you're going to let kids starve as a political play?" And now they're trying to put a bill together to prevent the starvation, which would begin November 1st.
Blame aside here, what is your strategy to end the shutdown?
Look, on November 1st, people in more than 30 states are going to be aghast when they see their bills, and they're going to cry out. And I believe there will be increased pressure on Republicans to negotiate with us.
I agree. I think when people realize 20 million Americans on Affordable Care Act, when they realize how much extra money they're going to have just for the bare minimum health insurance, I believe they're going to see what this fight is all about. Listen, I'm not defending one bit what Luigi Mangione allegedly did, but this is somebody who's not alone when it comes to seeing a healthcare system that is robbing us in the wealthiest country in the world, robbing us from what should be a human right, healthcare. We all pay into a system and we continue to get robbed. They literally have artificial intelligence being used to deny us benefits we pay into. United Healthcare was the worst at that, just rejecting claims. Even if you were in network, even if you paid into it, reject. If Luigi did what he did, if it's true what they allege him to have done, that is wrong. And yet, and I'm very careful the way I word this so you don't misinterpret me, and yet I understand the problem that exists. I'm surprised more people aren't out in the streets as part of a revolution to overhaul the system. I'm surprised. But will it be that what we see on November 1st, due to the big beautiful bill, which is providing tax cuts up to $1 trillion to the ultra wealthy, will it be, as we see this ballroom being built, that people say enough is enough? We do not stand for what we see right now. We'll have to see. How much pain can we take? Really? That's a question. Here we have ProPublica doing a investigative report that over 170 U.S. citizens have been arrested and detained in these illegal ICE raids that they're doing.
Democrats are investigating the arrests of U.S. citizens after a ProPublica investigation showed that ICE has detained more than 170 citizens in recent raids. And the New York Times, citing video of federal agents tackling people and even telling a group of Latinos, including a U.S. citizen, they have no rights. This morning, the Times editorial board published an op-ed titled, "Being Latino in the United States Should Not Be a Crime," writing that the Trump administration's immigration crackdown has become a campaign of discrimination against Latinos with tactics that violate both law and human decency. Democrats are...
Now listen, if you didn't catch my afternoon episode yesterday, Go check it out. Sometimes when I cover these political or social issues, they don't get the same amount of views as if I covered something scandalous in entertainment, which is super frustrating because this is a really big deal. But on yesterday's episode, we had Kirk Cameron, super conservative Kirk Cameron, denouncing Trump for wanting to use the Insurrection Act, but basically saying this is not a part of the humanity anyone wants to be a part of. This is not what people signed up for. People were duped and fooled thinking there were millions of violent illegal immigrants in this country, which simply is not true. If you commit an act of violence, you get deported. If you're not an American citizen, you get deported. If you're an American citizen, you go to jail. You get a trial. You get to defend yourself. Well, by just targeting people and saying you don't have rights if you're not an American citizen, that is simply not true. In the Constitution, in the, I believe it's the 14th Amendment or the 5th Amendment, whatever it is, it is people in the United States that get due process, not American citizens. They're very clear with the wording there. And we have to keep discussing that because those that lack all empathy say, no, ground them up and get them out. You know, I mean, I've got my own friends that want to do an immigration ticker. It's fucking disgusting. It's even my friends, I tell you, I think it's disgusting to think that they're the problem. These people that exist in our country trying to do it the right way, trying to go through a system, getting targeted at immigration hearings. It is a problem. And actually what we're seeing now is a judge in Chicago has ruled that the head of ICE in that local jurisdiction is, I think they believe he committed a crime by shooting off tear gas when you're not supposed to do that. And they're telling him you have to wear a body cam and call the judge at 6 p.m. every day. They're literally treating these leaders like babies because they can't be trusted to follow the laws. There was a big ICE overhaul just a couple nights ago where a lot of the leaders were being fired from ICE because it's not radical enough. They want more deportations. They want them faster. It's dangerous. These aren't the people you should be worried about. You should be worried about the people that are signing into law new laws that take away your rights, that are, making it harder to vote, that are making it harder to get medical care, that are making grocery prices more expensive. These are the people you should be worrying about, not whether or not someone nearby had citizenship. And I think most people agree with this. I think most people are rejecting what's going on here. Don't believe me? Test the polls. And it takes a lot to stand up for what you believe in because it comes with a lot of pain online. I truly mean this. When you try to stand up for what you know is right, and maybe you're ahead of the masses, you become a target. And no one has been really a greater target than Miss Rachel. This is absolutely true. Miss Rachel. I know we're talking about Miss Rachel who makes YouTube videos for children, decided to start speaking up for friends of hers. She was seeing people's limbs being blown apart, innocent lives. Now, in Palestine, right? She was seeing that our tax dollars were going to fight a war that had too much collateral damage. Okay, it's one thing if you want to just catch the bad guy, I understand. But too much collateral damage. Something like 50 to 70,000 innocent lives have been lost. They don't even know the numbers because it's so brutal. And Miss Rachel has just been fighting for these people. And every time she says, and I get it too. I get it too. I've been called every name under the sun. But every time she speaks up about one class of people, people say, well, what about this? There's actually starving people in Uganda, or there's starving people in Libya. And it's like, yes, that's the problem. So here's her response to speaking up for all of these kids that don't have voices. I'm so sick of children's human rights being treated like a joke. Children in the U.S. have a right to food. Give them the SNAP money. Children in Gaza have a right to live. 46 kids were killed yesterday. Children in Sudan have the right not to be starved and killed. In El Fasher, 130,000 children are cut off from aid and starving. Children in the Congo have the right not to be starved and killed. 28 children were killed in February. Now, the issue with this is part of Doge, right? Doge was this idea like we're going to cut all the government waste, right? And they said they were going to get rid of trillions of dollars. USAID had a budget of $20 billion, which sounds like a lot of money, and it is, but it comes out to $100 per person per year. And this money was to help starving kids or help people that had AIDS in other countries. And it really was a project to help people with famines. And also this $20 billion in some part went to U.S. farmers who were creating peanut butter pouches that were going to people in famines and famine areas. And all of this money that we pay into a system is meant to help people. Now, there is waste that exists and it should be addressed. But the fact that we cut off USAID, the fact that we fund wars in other countries that lead to the blowing off of limbs or the death of innocent lives, women, children, doctors, things like that, we should be able to talk about that. Miss Rachel should be able to talk about that. And boy, I mean, there was a group that wanted her investigated for like terroristic threats. This is insane. So she's here saying the world matters, and she shouldn't have to say every single group of people that need help, but she does. And I continue to have friends, and I know you're listening out there, and I love you guys, but I continue to have people saying, well, what Miss Rachel has done is wrong because she's only like, why speak up about this? Well, because we live in a system that is voting. Our leaders are accepting money from political organizations that are empowering our leaders to continue to spend money on wars that are blowing up children, innocent lives. I've spoken on the phone with people. I will not name names. I've spoken on the phone with people that believe that those innocent lives that have been killed, maimed, tortured, brutalized, that they are all terrorists because they will eventually grow up to hate the other side that did that to them. And yes, people get radicalized over war, absolutely. But it's insane to think that we're dehumanizing people that might have a different skin color or a different eye color than ours. These are God's children. We're all humans. I hate that I have to say it. I hate that Miss Rachel has to say it. She's now being recognized. She's actually being recognized by Glamour magazine. I spoke to her briefly yesterday to congratulate her, and she said she was shocked that they were going to bring up the Gaza at all because everyone was silent on this. Here's what she had to say.
How did you meet your husband? Tell us the story, the love story.
I went to Unitarian church, and we were both raised Unitarian. I actually picked that certain church to go to in New York because they had a preschool attached. And I thought, you know what? I'm looking for something deeper with my religion, spirituality. Let me go there and maybe I can have an opportunity with the kids. I went to church and I went to coffee hour, and the young adult people came over, and I was talking to people, and someone said, do you want to meet the best musician in the world? And I was like, oh my gosh, the best musician in the world is here? Definitely, because I'm a musician. And then it was like, this is Aaron. And he said he was hanging up his name tag to leave, and then he saw my smile. And we walked out together, and we went for a walk. He said, I'll walk you out. And I was like, oh,
very chivalrous.
Okay, I like this guy. He knows what he wants to do. And then he walked me out, and we've been together since.
There it is. The meet cute love story of Miss Rachel and her husband. Now, it's lovely stuff, but Miss Rachel is the modern day Mr. Rogers. That's what she is. And there was a time during segregation when Mr. Rogers, it was newsworthy when he washed his feet in the same pool of water as a black man. And at the time, that was a big deal that he was willing to show a new generation of people, children, that were all the same. This was a big deal. This was at a time when, community pools were getting poisoned with acid. I mean, insane stuff. And now we live in a time where Miss Rachel, it's controversial for her to have on a kid who's a double amputee, a 3-year-old. And it was controversial for her to have on Palestinian children. And people would say, yeah, but what about there's other people that it's like, absolutely, the world's on fire in so many different ways. But Miss Rachel, using her audience and using her megaphone to do good might sound easy, but how many corporations out there, how many people out there are not speaking up about the world's issues? They exist. Miss Rachel is a rock star. Just to end on a high note. How about this? This is Miss Rachel. Someone said, Glamour magazine said, it's fair to say that Miss Rachel is basically the Beyonce of children's entertainment. So how could we pass up on the opportunity to give the Glamour staff's children a surprise meet and greet with the 2025 Glamour Woman of the Year? Have a listen to this. This is Miss Rachel in character, surprising kids of Glamour Mag.
Okay, guys, who's here for a surprise? Okay.
Hi, friends. I'm so excited to learn with you today. Mama! Hi, friends. My name is Miss Rachel. I'm so happy to see you today. Hi, my friends. Thank you for...
And then kids come up and give her hugs. It's a beautiful sight, and it's wild to think that this is someone considered controversial. It's wild that I will get DMs for highlighting her right now. I swear that's the case. It is wild. More love, more fearless pursuit of happiness and fearless pursuit of unity. That's what we need. That's what we're getting if we can just let the hate get the fuck out of the way. It's there. Miss Rachel leading the path. We'll be back this afternoon. We're here twice a day. Politics, pop culture, everything in between. We'll see you then. I'm Dave. This is The Rush.